Hey, good morning, everyone. Hope y'all are having a good day. We are talking about some word problems that we had started last class. Actually, you know what? Let me get to this. Hold on.
Do you think we could go over number 16 from the homework?
Yeah, actually, I was gonna ask you for questions. Okay, number 16. Let me see, which one was that? Oh, do you remember what page it's on?
It would have been page 20. Yes, right there.
Number 16?
Yes, so I got the first part, but the second part is where I was struggling.
Okay. Let's grab this here. Okay, so the real estate tax for a house valued at $150,000 is $1,575 at this rate. What is the value of a house for which the real estate tax is $2,299.50? So you said you had no problem with the first part. So how did you do it as doing the first part?
So the way that I did it was I set it up. Hold on, I have so many papers over here.
I'm guessing.
I think I set it up as like X times, kind of like how you had showed us with the X is what, and then the of is times. I think I set it up that way.
Okay.
So I think it's lost in my work somewhere.
It's, yeah, let me try and work through it. So let's not even worry about A and B right now. Let's just think about the problem. Okay, so it's saying that, you know, if you have a home that's valued at $150,000, the tax you're going to pay on it is this much, and this is the value of the home. Okay, so let me zoom out just a little bit. There we go. There we go. Okay, so what we could do, one way we could approach this is to set up the proportions that we did before. So if we start with that and we say, okay, we can write that as 1575 is our tax over the value, which is $150,000. I'll just say the value of the home. Or you could write it the other way around, $150,000 in value of the home over the tax, which is $1,575. All right, and then from there, you go look at what you're trying to find. So it's saying, what is the value of a house, right? What's the value of a house if the tax is given to be this much? So we're trying to solve for value, which means that we will take this one here because it has value on top. And so we set up the proportion of 150,000 value over the tax of 1575 should be proportional to the value of the home we're looking for, X, over the tax for that home, which is 2299.50. That's your tax. And then you do your little cross multiply. So I'll multiply these two together and these two together. So on my calculator, if I do 150,000 times 2299.5, that gives me a huge number. It's 344,925 equals 1575x. And then I divide both sides by 1575. And if I do that, I'll solve for x. And I get $219,000 is the value of the home. All right, does that make sense to everyone? Is that clear in terms of solving this? Now that, what I just did right there is actually doing it as a proportion. So I set it up as a proportion and I solve for x. I used the two equivalent ratios. Well, I took the statement and I created two ratios, and then I picked the one that I needed and then set up the proportion. All right, that I showed you how to do. Part A is a little different, okay? Because for part A, it says set up as a percentage and solve. So the way you can go about this, and on a test, I don't care which way you solve it. I'll just tell you to solve it. I don't care which way you go. I think the way I just did it is the preferred way. But the other way you can do it is you can look at this and you can say to yourself, okay, I'm paying $1,575 in tax on $150,000. So I can ask this question. 1575 is what percent of 150,000? In other words, I want to know what my tax rate is. I'm going to be able to find the percentage of the tax rate by doing this. And then I can convert this right into that equation, convert the is to equals, the what to x, and the of to multiplication. And then just divide both sides by 150,000. And I get 0.0105 equals x. And so as a percentage, we move the decimal point 2 places to the right, we get about 1.05% is the tax rate. Now, we're not done, okay? We're not done. Now we're going to answer the question. We want to know the value of the house, right? So what we'll do is we'll say, all right, the value of the home, right? X is the value of the home times the tax rate. Let me write it in words first. If I take the value of the home, multiply it times the tax rate, I get the tax. This is like when you go and you buy a shirt from the store. Whatever the value of the shirt is, the cost of the shirt, you multiply it times the tax rate, and that will be equal to how much you pay in tax. So for us, we don't know the value of the home. We know that the tax rate is 0.0105, and we know that the tax on this home is $2299.50. And now if you want to solve for x, you divide both sides by 0.0105. 0.0105. And we should get the same answer. 2299.50 divided by 0.0105. Yep, we get x is equal to $219,000. Now, I would say that this way is much harder. Would you agree? I mean, it's just a lot more you have to keep track of, which is why the proportion, they wanted you to do it as a percent first, because I guess they wanted you to see how it can be ugly to do it that way. But if you do a proportion, it's a lot cleaner. Would you all agree? Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I give you a problem, you do it however. I'm not going to tell you have to do it as a percent or you have to do it as proportion. You do it the way you want to do it. So last class, we talked, these problems we're doing are kind of real world problems. This is kind of interesting tax that you pay on your home, right? So let's do a quick poll here. Joey, I got your chat there. That's fine. That's do what you gotta do. I'm gonna do a poll. I'm just curious. How many of you own a home right now? I mean, like I said last time, everyone's kind of a different place in their life. So choice one, choose choice one if you own a home, and choice two if you don't. Yeah, okay. It's kind of what I expected. So of the people who've responded, you can see I just shared the results. There's only one person in the class that owns a home. All right. So what I'm about to say is not necessarily relevant to you right now, but I guarantee you it will be relevant at some point in time. It's kind of interesting the way taxes work in Texas. So if you own a home, right? If you own a home, then whatever the value of that home is, let's say it's $100,000 home. All right, let's just say. Then you have to pay something called property tax. And I should say something before it is. If it seems like I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, it's because we're kind of at the end of the semester, and the material we're covering now, we can really be flexible about how we go with this. So I want to take some time to actually talk about things that are relevant to your life. Okay, so property tax. Everybody has to pay property tax if you own a house. Now, does anybody know what those taxes are used for? What your property taxes are used for? You don't, it's okay. I'm gonna go and
Goes
show.
towards the city.
I
Okay,
think for schools, I'm not sure.
yeah, so this is pretty cool. I'm gonna go to a website. I'm just gonna go to, what is it? Bear County tax office, okay? So if I go there, go to the Bear County tax office, property tax, and you can do a property tax search, okay? Which means you can type in anybody you know, any house you know, anything, in anyone, right? There's no real restriction here because it's all public information. And you can type somebody's name in, and you can find, if they own a home, you can find their address and everything else. And you can find the value of their house and how much they pay in taxes on that house. So just for the heck of doing this, I'm just gonna type in just a generic last name, Smith. I don't know what's gonna happen. There we go. I'm just gonna go to the first one I found, okay? And let me see. Here we go. So for this particular person, I've got their address here and their current tax now. Let me see. This is how much they're paying in taxes right now. Oh, here it is. This is the amount that they're paying in taxes for the year. All right. And here's the market value, or here's the total value of their home. Okay. That's what the county is saying their home is valued at. Now, what I was trying to find was the breakdown, which shows what everything pays for. I think they've updated their website. Hold on a second. Usually it breaks it down so you can see each, let me do this. Company tax rates, here we go. Okay, this is what I was looking for. That's pretty crazy though, that you can look up anyone, right? And figure out how much their home's worth and how much they pay in taxes and all that. All right, so here's the final, at the very end here, what's the tax rate? So for road, this is the thing that your taxes for your house are paying for. Road, okay, this is for every $100 that you pay, every $100 in value of your home. You have to pay, for every $100 in value of your home, you have to pay 2 cents per $100 for road and flood control. Look at this, 15 cents for every $100 in value of your home. So if your home is worth $100, you pay 15 cents for Alamo colleges, for the community college. If your home is worth $1,000, you pay $1.50. If your home is worth $10,000, you pay $15. If your home is worth $100,000, you're paying $150 a year for the Alamo colleges. Just wrap your head around that for a second, okay? If your home is worth $100,000, you must contribute $150 to the Alamo colleges. That's for you guys, for the school. Even though y'all pay tuition, it costs a lot of money to run a college. So every home in Bexar County, okay, for every $100,000 in value, they have to put $150 in for the Alamo colleges. So if your home is, I'm sorry?
No, I was just gonna say right now, the value of houses have gone up. So
Mhm.
it's on average about $200,000 to $300,000.
Yeah. So think about that. If it's $300,000, then every home in Bexar County is having to put in about what, 400 something dollars to Alamo colleges. All right. That's regardless of whether or not they know anyone that goes to Alamo College. They don't have to have kids that go to Alamo colleges. It doesn't matter. If you live in Bexar County, you got to pay it. And there's all sorts of, for hospitals, there's for the school districts, right? For like, I think we're in North Side here. Look at North Side, $1.26 for every $100. So if you have a $100,000 house, you're paying $1,200 a year for the schools. If your house is worth $300,000, then you're paying like $3,600 a year for the schools. Is this making sense?
Yes.
So here's my question to you as a class. Is this the right way to do it? Do you think that this is fair? So think about this. Let's say you have somebody who has a $100,000 home, and let's say that they have 4 kids, right? They have 4 kids. And then you have a home that's worth $500,000, and they have no kids, okay? 0 kids. This home here is going to pay $100,000 times the tax rate for let's just talk about school, for the school district. They're going to pay $1,200, about $250 for schools, for the schools around them, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, right? That's how much they're going to pay per year. And how much are they going to pay?
Somewhere around 500. I mean,
They're-
5,000.
They're gonna pay this times 5, right?
So probably about 6, something in the
Yeah,
6.
close to 6,000. 1,250 times 5. They're gonna pay 62. They're gonna pay $62.50 for the year for the schools. They have no kids going to school. So what do y'all think about that? That's the way it works in Texas. Do y'all think that's fair? Do y'all think that that's?
Well, I mean, it's not like they told you to buy a $500,000 house, right? You can always downsize if you want.
You could downsize, yeah. Yeah.
Or you can
So,
like offload it to a renter's.
sure, but the way the tax code works is that the more value you acquire in a home, right? The more you have to pay for services that you may not even be using, right? Like, would you,
I say
where
it's
else,
not
where
really
else in your life
fair.
do you pay for a service that you don't use? Right?
I
It's
say
just,
it's not really fair because it's like, not just because you have two people, one that's actually using the service and one that's not, but even though they're paying more for it, but it's not fair because if you're in an area which has higher value homes, you're getting more money going to the school system, but in an area with lower value homes, you're not. So the school doesn't have as much money in that lower valued area.
And that's why it's most of the people coming to this way. That's why I moved this way because of that same thing. Because if you move to other areas that don't have that kind of money, the school gonna be like, they don't gonna have what the kids need. And that's
exactly.
why a lot of people moving this way because of the same reason. So it's not fair. I think the same way. It's not fair, but that's the way it is, you know.
Yeah. And so I'm having this discussion. There's no right or wrong answer. This is okay. So this is not a math conversation. Math is pretty black and white. We get answers. That's it. This is more of a social question, right? You know, on one hand, you may think that it's not fair that these people have no kids, but they pay $6,000 a year, right? Think about that. 6,000 divided by 12.
The
That's
first
500.
house, the first house may not necessarily use any of those services either. If their kids go to private school or something, then they're not using it either.
Okay, so good example. My daughter goes to private school. Okay, so I don't use the school system at all, and I have to pay tuition, and we have to pay tuition for her school. So I can't even get exempt. Like I can't say, hey, look, I'm not using the school, I'm paying for other school. I don't get any break for that. I have to pay twice. I pay for the public school and I pay for the private school. Now that's a choice. Someone may say, hey, that's a choice, you know? So this is, I mean, there's a lot of big questions. You know, if you look at San Antonio, right? You know, we have certain areas of town. This is what Nix was talking about. You have certain areas of town, you know, where the income level is different and the property values are different, right? So depending on where you are in San Antonio, if you're like north side, Stone Oak area, 281, that there's a lot of high valued homes over there. So I've got you, Alexandra, hold on a second. So you got a lot of money here, right? A lot of value. And since the homes are valued very high, right? That money is getting pumped into that local school district. So all the schools in this area have a lot of money. That's why you drive and you're like, oh my God, that high school looks like a college, you know, and it's got this huge stadium and this and that. And then you go to a different side of town and everything looks worn down. And because they're pulling the money that they have available to them is only based on the value of the homes. Alexandra, what were you going to say?
So I live out in Divine and there's a lot of like agriculture and farming around here. And I don't know how it works. So that was kind of my question. When people have animals on their property, I think it's like a certain amount of acreage and animals per acre, but they can get their property tax exempt.
Exactly. Yes.
How does that, like, you just put animals on land?
Yeah, that's agricultural exemption.
Yeah, so there's you're ag exempt. So I have a friend of mine or old neighbors that just moved out to where is that, Lavernia area, right? About 2 years ago, and they bought like about 27 acres or something out there, and the property taxes would have been just through the roof, right? 27 acres. So what did they do? They put some deer feeders on their property, and they showed that their property is supporting wildlife, you know, and so they get this huge break on their taxes. Is that right? I don't know. I mean, we could debate that. Is that fair? They're kind of working the system, right? I mean, it's not true. They're not farmers, you know, they're not sitting there growing crops and selling them or raising cattle and selling them. I mean, if you're a true farmer, I think, you know, if you're livelihood depends on your crops and your animals, then I think absolutely there should be some break because you need space for that. You shouldn't have to pay the same that someone pays for, an acre in Stone Oak or something like that. So I think there should be breaks, but there's
Well,
easy ways around it,
Mhm.
to kind of, okay, let's just use that. There's loopholes everywhere.
The only way that that works though is if your HOA will allow that, which a lot of HOAs in San Antonio wouldn't allow that. So you have to be like out of the city to
Oh,
be able
yeah,
to even,
no.
you have to have land and stuff to be able to do
Yeah.
that because very few HOAs in San Antonio will let you have animals.
Yeah, no, they're in San Antonio, you're not gonna find any homes that are ag exempt. Like
I
it's
don't
not
think
gonna
there's
happen.
any HOA in Divine.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's, these are big social questions, is there a better way to do this? I mean, do we collect taxes from everybody, throw it into a pot and divide it equally? I don't know, right? I mean, this is where we have to, have conversations, right? We have to talk about it. Is it fair? Should it be something else? There's some states that don't do property taxes like this. Like they don't get their money for their schools from the property value. They get it from somewhere else, like sales tax or something like that. So, there's all different ways you can do it. The thing I think that's a little bit kind of unfair about what's happened in the last year with the whole COVID is all the values of everything have gone up, right? So like home values have just gone way up. I know our home value went up at least 20%. I mean, so the money now we all have to pay more into the system, right? But what's changed? Like, okay, because everyone says it's worth more. Why do we have to pay more? Like, why do I have to pay more for schools? Because it's not like anything has changed other than someone has said that my value of my property is higher, And not only that, there's more people in San Antonio now, right? There's like people are flocking here. So you start to get to these really tough questions that we're not going to answer here today. I just wanted everyone to kind of like understand when we're talking about property values and we're talking about taxes. This is an important issue once you start to own a home. I know for my wife and myself, we have a monthly payment, right, that we do every month for our home. 2/3 of that payment is for the home and 1/3 of it is for taxes. So, that's the way you have to think about it. It's like, even if we pay the home off, even if we pay the home off, we own the home, we will continue to have to pay property tax. We never get rid of that, no matter what. We have to pay to be on this piece of land, forever. Now, when you reach 65, they lock it so it doesn't go up anymore. So that's good. But other than that, every year it goes up, it goes up, it goes up, it goes up, it goes up. The tax rate just keeps climbing. So anyway, okay. Anyone have any last comments about that? We're going to move on. We can
As
talk all day.
someone who has been in multiple different schools in multiple different areas, you can tell when a school is in a lower income, like lower property tax area. Like my elementary and intermediate schools, they shared a cafeteria. So you had 2 schools worth of students sharing one cafeteria.
Yeah.
Because they just didn't have the money to give the intermediate school its own cafeteria. They also
Yep.
shared a bus loop and a playground and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They shared so many things.
Meanwhile, another school has like, 3 or 4 tennis courts, and yeah, I mean, it's obvious when you drive around, it's obvious, but then there's a bigger question. Like, I mean, and this is not me, it's me playing devil's advocate, right? So if I work hard and I attain a certain level of income, right? If I attain a certain level of income, then aren't I entitled to say that the money that I have goes to funding the education for my child? And so, yeah, I don't want to share it with other people. Like, I want my money to go to that school with a brand new gym and the brand new, because I make money out of a valuable home. And so that money should go there. I shouldn't have to pay for everyone else's kids to go to school. I mean, I'm just saying devil's advocate here, like, you know, why do I have to pay for other people?
And it does make sense in a way, but it's also like, if you can't afford, or if you live in an area that can't afford to have the better schools, then are the children there being as set up for success as, say, the children from a better area that gets more property taxes?
Yeah,
Like,
no, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I mean, in order to become successful and have that income, you have to actually have a path to that, right? You have to,
mhm.
and so if you start off in very low income, that, you know, schools are not funded properly, you know, if you start there, it's very hard to achieve. Yeah, and so yeah, these are good questions. I mean,
Because like I
yeah.
remember looking at when I moved from middle school to high school, my high school back in South Carolina was so much nicer than any of the schools that I had been in, because it was in a higher property value area. It was in
Mhm.
a area that was still building up. That school had a bank in it.
Yeah.
I still don't know why that school had a bank in it, but we had a bank in our high school.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
then you have my elementary school, which I had to stop attending and be homeschooled because there was mold in the school and I couldn't breathe in the school
Yeah.
and they couldn't pay to get it removed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what we'll do, and if things will just stay the same. This is the way it is right now. But, you know, this is a big question for us, you know, as a society and as Americans, like, how do we do this in a way that, you know, people have equal opportunity, right, to succeed, and without making it, yeah, I don't know.
I got
I
a
don't want to go too
proposition.
far. Excuse me?
I got a proposition. We can
Yeah,
make
go
an
ahead.
equal playing ground by just removing the internet and all books and everything from society, and have everyone just go back to just an agricultural background. So just
Good luck.
learn off of.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Yeah.
I don't
mean,
think that there's ever going to be a preferable way for taxes to work, because the whole idea of taxes is just to pay for things that you may not even be aware of. Like, I know I was homeschooled, but I know that the value of our home is really high. So I know we're paying astronomical taxes, property taxes, but we aren't using any of this system because they're homeschooling. So we are not using any of it.
yeah.
Same,
Yeah.
my brother's homeschooled.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and then, but people will, you know, it's, everything here is debatable. I mean, everybody's going to have a strong point, a strong position from where they're coming from. It's not an easy thing. But what I can tell you is that when you do own a home, you are going to be paying for things that you don't necessarily use, but just be prepared for that, because it's going to happen. And you want to take that into account, you know, when you're trying to figure out whether or not you want to have a home, you know, because it makes a difference where you live and everything else. Angelique, do you have a comment, question?
Yeah, that's
Yes,
true.
I did have a,
Oh, hold on.
sorry.
Angelique.
I did have a question. When was the final going to be? And do you know when we'll be getting the review?
Yeah, okay, so the final, we should talk about math. So the final is on Thursday, December 9th at 9:30. And we'll do it here in Zoom like we've done all the others. And then did you say something about a review?
Yes, when we'll be getting
Yeah.
the review.
I'll provide a review. I'm probably gonna give that to you next week.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so, all right, we're gonna move on. We can, like I said, we can go down this rabbit hole with taxes and equality and all this stuff, but we're not solving anything today. So we're just gonna keep going. All right, let's get to some more word problems, all right, that we were doing last time. I established last time a couple of formulas that we needed. Remember these? I'm going to copy them for us. Price, tax, this right here. Put it right up here. So we had these formulas. These are two different formulas. One of them is a formula that gives you the total amount that you pay for something if you know the price of the item and then you know the tax rate. And then the other one is what we use to figure out percent increase and decrease of something like price in gas. I think that's what I did last time. Okay, so let's look at this first one here. Steve needs to buy his sister a birthday gift from the mall. He sees a shirt that is normally priced at $24.50, but it is on sale for 20% off. If the sales tax is 8.25%, how much will Steve pay for the shirt? So this is like real life stuff. If you really wanted to figure out how much you're going to have to pay for something after taxes with a discount, you could do this. So what do y'all think? How should we go about this? There's a couple of different approaches to this. The shirt costs what, $24.50, right?
Does the percentage of the
20% off. You have to take the 20% off the $24.50.
Yeah, so this price is not with the 20% off. So we need to take 20% off of this first.
so then
I
the
think-
tax comes off of the item once it's already discounted?
Yes, and then the tax will be on the discounted amount, okay? So we first need to take off 20%, right? Take off 20%, and then we'll do the tax. Once we get the 20% off, then whatever that is, that will be our price in this formula, okay? We will use this formula. I think I wrote it last time like this, P plus PR equals total. So we need to first find the price. And that's the price after we take 25% off or 20% off. So there's two ways to figure out what the price is. One way is to figure out what 20% of this is and then take it away. The other way, which I think is more efficient, is to instead of saying what's 20% off, just say what's 80% of this price. Think about that. If you take 20% off of something, it's the same as paying 80 for 80% of it. Instead of 100%, you're going to pay 80%. That's the way I like to approach it. I'm going to say, take this. I want to know what is 80% of this number. Do you understand? I'm doing 80% because I'm looking at taking 20% off. If it was 25% off, I would be doing 75%, right? If it was 40% off, I'd be doing 60%. So this is just a equation. X is 0.80 times 2450. So we can do this on our calculator. I get 1960. So if a shirt's $24.50 and we take 20% off, then the shirt is now $19.60. Make sense? That all okay? Yeah. Okay, now that's our price. So this is our P in here. So we're going to put here 1960 plus 1960 times the tax rate. What is our tax rate in this problem? We're going with what, 8.25, right? But when you put in this formula, you have to do what? Do I put 8.25 here?
You turn it into a decimal.
Turn it into a decimal. Okay, good. So I'm going to convert that into 0.0825. Right? That's what I'm going to convert it into. And that should be my total. So I'm just going to get my calculator. Now be careful. You have to do this first. That's multiplication. That's multiplication. It comes before the addition, right? So I'm going to do on my calculator 1960 plus 1960 times 0.0825. I get 21.217. I'm going to round that 21.22. about $21.22 would be the price. That all right? Questions? Okay, let's look at a different one. So this is a different type of problem here. Oh my gosh, sorry. All right, in 2004, Javier bought a new television set for $2,500. In 2012, that's a long time ago, he purchased a similar model for $950. What is the percent decrease from 2004 to 2012? So this is the formula that I just put up here. Where was it? Right here, this. We're trying to find the percent decrease. So we're using this formula. So we're going to take the new price, subtract the old price, divide by the old, multiply by 100. So what is the new price?
Be 950, right?
950. So I take the 950. I subtract from that the old price, which was the 2,500. And then I divide by the old price, which was the 2,500. And then once I'm done with that, I'll multiply it by 100, and that will convert it to a percentage. So again, on your calculator, do this. You should get negative 62%. You get a negative number, which means it's a decrease. If it was a positive number, it would be an increase. So, and there's no rounding here, so I think we're good here. What is the percent decrease? 62% decrease. Okay. Any questions there? New minus old over new, new minus old over old, multiply by 100, you'll get the percentage. All right, we're going to shift gears here to a different type of problem. These are called mixture problems. All right, so let me see which one I want to start with. Yeah, let me do that. Okay. I'm going to kind of make up my own, and then we'll go back to this. Let's say we take 2 gallons. This is mixture problems. Let's say we take 2 gallons of 100% apple juice. And mix it with 1 gallon of water. Okay, so you've got some apple juice, it's 100% apple juice, you got some water, you're going to mix them together, okay? Pour them together into a container. I have 2 questions. First question, how many gallons do you have? And then part B is, what is the percent of apple juice? So by taking the apple juice and pouring it and mixing it with water, it's going to dilute it. It's not going to be as strong. I want to know what the percentage of apple juice would be after we mix these together. Does everyone understand the idea here? Like what we're trying to do? With these problems, I like to draw pictures, all right? So I draw like a little container. This is my first container. This is my pineapple juice. I'm sorry, my apple juice. That's my apple juice here. And I have 2 gallons of it. And it's 100% apple juice, right? And then I'm going to add to that another container that has water. And it's 1 gallon, right? When I add these two together, we're going to have a mixture, right? How many gallons are going to be in that mixture? This is the easy question. 3, right? It's 3 gallons. Okay, that's obvious, right? 2 gallons, add 1 gallon, you get 3 gallons. But what's the percentage of apple juice? This is the part that's a little bit tricky. All right, this is the part that's tricky.
It's gonna be over 50% for sure, somewhere around probably 75%, roughly.
Yeah, it can't be 100% though, right? Because it's been diluted. So here's how I want you to visualize this or try to understand this. Sorry?
It's like 66 repeating, right?
Let's see how we're going to get to it. Look at this one. This first one is 100% apple juice, right? Right, 100%. This one over here, what is the percentage of apple juice in this one? What's the percentage of apple juice in the water?
0.
0, right? 0. All right, so the way I'm going to figure out what the total is at the end is this. I'm going to say I have 2 gallons, right? I'm going to multiply it times the percentage, which gives me, convert the percentage to a number. What's the percentage converted to a number, to a decimal? What's 100% converted to a decimal? Take 100%,
1.
convert it to a decimal, move decimal point 2 places, you get 1. So if I take this 2 and multiply it times 1, I get 2, okay? So I know this seems obvious, but 2 gallons of juice, right? That's how much I have here of apple juice. Over here, if I take the 1 gallon and multiply it times 0, I get 0 gallons of apple juice here, right? So what's my total gallons of apple juice here? If I add these two together, what's my total?
Just 2.
Gallons and then 0, right? So when I add these together, I have 2 gallons of apple juice. But that's out of what? How many gallons total in the mixture? 3, right? 3 gallons. 2 out of 3. Just do this on your calculator. 2 divided by 3, and you will get. Did this just happen again? 0.666 repeated, right? Which is approximately 66.6%. You will have 66%, 67% apple juice in that mixture. We have to do another one of these to start to get a feel for how this works. This first example was just to get us off the ground here. Let me give you another one. This one is going to be one that's more applicable to like a chemistry class. If you've ever taken a chemistry class that had a lab to it, then this may have come up. So in a chemistry lab, you have sometimes for certain experiments, you have to use like acid solutions and mix them together. And the acid solution has to have a certain strength to it. So what the teacher will do is they'll go into the back and they'll mix together the acids to get the perfect percentage that they need for the experiment. So like this, let's say we take, I'm going to type this, it'll be easier. Okay, you mix a 30% acid solution. You mix, let's put an amount here. You mix, let's go with 2 gallons again of a 30% acid solution with 5 gallons of a, let me see, what percentage do I want to use here? 64% acid solution. How many gallons do you get at the end? That's the first question. And then the second is, what is the acid percent of the mixture? So it's the same problem like we just did, except instead of using apple juice and water, I'm doing 2 different acid solutions. One of them is 30% acid, the other one's 64%, and we're mixing them together, not equal amounts. We're doing 2 gallons of the 30% and 5 gallons of the 64%. And then we're stirring it up. And we're saying, okay, in the end here, how much do we have? And what is the acid percentage for it? So I'm going to draw pictures again. Here's my first one. Okay, I have 2 gallons of this, right? And this is my 30% mixture right here. 30% acid solution. I'm going to add that to another mixture, or to another, add to it this one. It's 5 gallons. But this one is 64%. It's a stronger acid. When I add those 2 together, I'm going to get, well, first the easy part, 7 gallons, right? But what's the percentage mixture, right? What's the percentage of acid in this mixture? So the way you do this, following the same format as last time, is we're going to take this percentage and we're going to multiply it times this. But we have to have that percentage as a decimal. So we're actually going to take 0.3 and multiply it times 2. And what does that give us? If you do 2 times 0.3, you should get 0.6. This is how much acid there is here. If you have 2 gallons and it's 30% of it is the acid, then 0.6, 2 gallons times 0.3 should be how much acid you have here. If we do the same thing here, use 0.64, multiply that times 5, you get 3.2 gallons of acid in this one. So now add those 2 up. What do those add up to be? How much acid is that total? Those added, right?
It's 3.8.
3.8. So we have 3.8 gallons of this is acid, right? That doesn't give me a percentage though. What do I need to do with that number to get the percentage? I have what I'm saying is that we have, of this mixture, 3.8 gallons of it is acid. So what do we do? What do we do here? We found out how much of it was juice, and over here we divided it by the total we had in the mixture, right? So here I'm going to take this 3.8 to find the percentage. What I do is I take that 3.8 and I divide it by the total number of gallons I have in the mixture, which is 7. And 3.8 divided by 7 will give you approximately 0.543. I'm rounding, which is about 54.3%. So in other words, if you take 2 gallons of 30% acid, mix it with 5 gallons of 64% acid, stir it up, you will have 7 gallons, and the strength of that acid will be 54.3%. This is the way they do it in chemistry labs. They actually, they have to have different percentages of acid for different experiments. So in the back, in the storage room, they'll have a container that has like 5%, and then another one that's like maybe 40%, and then maybe another one that's like really, really strong, 80%. And then what they can do is they can always mix these in a way to get it to really like any percentage you want. And then they also have water, which would be 0%. So with that, they can mix it pretty much any way to get whatever you want, whatever percentage you want. All right, does that make any sense at all? I'm going to let you do a problem now. I want to see if that actually made any sense by seeing if you can do, let me see. There. This is the same idea, but this is using saline, which is like salt water kind of. You have 20 pints of a 2% saline solution mixture is mixed with 15 pints of 9%. How many pints are in the final mixture? What is the percentage of saline in the final? All right, I'm going to let you work through. I'm going to give you some time. I want to see if y'all can get to an answer, and then we'll do a little poll to see if people get feel like they got it. So, oops. We launched the poll. I'm going to launch the poll right now. Let me know when you're done. Okay, when you have an answer, you should have 2 answers here. How many pints are in the final mixture, and what's the percent? Just hit choice 1 whenever you're done. Okay, don't hit anything now. Just when you're done, hit choice 1 on the poll. Okay, I put it there on the same page as the problem we just did to kind of help you again see how we went through it. Got about 8 students that are done, so I'm just gonna go another minute or two.
One was done, right?
I'm sorry?
Was choice one meant you're done?
Yeah, it was just, yeah, choice 2 is irrelevant. It's just to let me know you're done, that's all.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, good. I think that's 12 people. That's the same number of people that responded to the survey earlier. So, oh, now 13. Okay, somebody want to share with me their answers?
I got 5% total.
5%. Okay, how many, and then how many pints?
Total pints was 35.
Okay, so 35 pints and 5%. Okay, I'm going to relaunch the poll. If you agree, put choice 1. If you disagree, choice 2. With 35 pints and 5%. If you got something different, put choice 2. It's okay. I'm going to work through the problem. So while you're doing that, I'm going to start drawing my picture here. Choice 1 was if you got 35 pints at 5% concentration. We have a lot of people agreeing. We have a few people that got something else. So let me just work through it real quick. First of all, you have 20 pints of a 2% mixture, 15 pints of a 9% mixture. When you add those two together, of course, your mixture is going to have 20 pints plus 15 pints. So you should have 35 pints. Okay, good. That's right. Now to figure out how much saline is in each one. So you take the percentage, convert it to a decimal, 0.02, be careful here because you have to move the decimal 2 places. And then here 0.09, and then you're going to take that number, multiply it here, take that number, multiply it here. So you get what, 4? What do you get here when you 0.02 times 20? What do you get? This might be where people made the mistake if they didn't do the 0.2.
I got 0.
0.4.
0.4, right? You get 0.4 pints of saline. And then here, when you do this one, what do you get when you do 0.09 times 15?
1.35.
1.35
Yeah.
pints of saline here. So when you add those two up, right? When you add those two up, you should have how many pints of saline? 1.75
Yes.
pints of saline. And then to find the percentage, what we're going to do is we're going to take the 1.75 and divide it by the total number of pints we had, which is 35. And if we do that, 1.75 divided by 35, you get, yep, 0.05, and then convert that to a percentage, you get 5%. Move the decimal 2 places to the right. Is this making sense, everyone? Because we're about to do something harder. I want to make sure everyone's clear on this. We're good? I only have a few minutes. Let me see what I can do here. Okay, so let me just run through this again. With these mixture problems, we're taking something here that has some percentage, and then we have some total amount of whatever's in here. So X is like the amount that we have in here. And let's call P the percentage we have, all right? We're adding that to another thing where we have, let's say Y is the amount that we have. And then this one will have a percentage. Let's not call it P because P is this percentage. Let's just call it Q, right? So how much, when you add these together and you figure out how much is in here, the amount that you get here, how do you get this number? How do you get the amount that's in here? The easy part of the problem. What would we do here to figure out the amount?
P plus Q.
Add X and Y.
You just add X and Y, right? X plus Y would be how much you had. So if this was like 2 gallons and 5 gallons, you add them up, that's how many gallons you'd have, right? Now to get the percent stuff, you take the P as a decimal, multiply times this, you take the Q, multiply times that. That'll give you some answer, some answer. We add them up, bring that answer over here. Whatever that answer is, we divide it by the total amount that was there, and that'll give us the percent. That's kind of like the idea here. We're taking P times the X, the Q times the Y, and then we're adding those together. P times X plus Q times Y, and then we're dividing that by the total amount, and that gives us percentage. That may look crazy because all I'm doing is using letters, okay? But let me now give you a new problem, all right? And we'll refer back to this. All right, so you wish to mix a 5% acid solution with a, let's go with a 40% acid solution in order to get 12 pints of a 12% acid solution. How much of each one do you need? Question mark. This question is very different than the previous problems. In the previous problems, I told you, hey, we've got this much of this and this much of this, and we're mixing them together, and how much do you get at the end? This is not the same problem. This is saying that we have an acid solution here, and all I'm telling you is that it's 5%. And we're going to add that to another acid solution over here where the concentration is 40%. And what I want is at the end, when you put those together, I want 12 pints. I want 12 pints of a 12% solution, acid solution. What you have to figure out is how much of each of these you have to do. How much of each do you have to pour in order at the end to get 12 pints of 12%? This is not as easy. Do y'all understand this? This is not the same type of problem. All right, so there's two things we don't know, right? We don't know how much of each one. So let's let X be the amount of the 5% and Y be the amount of the 40%. I'm gonna write that over here. X is the pints of the 5%. And Y, let's let that be the pints of the 40%. And that's what we need to figure out. So can somebody tell me something we know right off the bat about X and Y?
it needs to add up to 12 pints.
Exactly. It has to add up to be 12 pints, right? So I know that my total at the end has to be 12 pints. So I know that when I take this number, right, whatever, how many pints there is there and how many pints here, and I add them together, I should get 12. Let me write that down. X plus Y must be 12. That's one thing I know has to be true, right? That has to be true. Yes? Now, the next thing I know is that when I take this number, convert it to a decimal, take that and multiply it times this. So when I take 0.05 and multiply it times X, I get how much acid is in this first one. Over here, if I take 0.4, 40% convert it to a decimal 0.4, and then multiply it times that, I get 0.4 Y. When I add those, I should get what? This is the hard part, I guess. I mean, this is really confusing.
It
What
should
did I
have
get?
equal 12%.
Say again, I didn't hear the very first part of what you said.
That should have to equal 12%.
Okay, so that's what most people think. This should be equal to 12%. Yes and no. It needs to be equal to 12% of the 12 pints. So you need to look at this over here. If you take this, multiply it times 0.12, that's how much acid you have over here. See, this is the amount of acid you have here. This is the amount of acid you have here. And now we need to know how much acid you would have total over here, which would be the 12 times the 0.12. You're multiplying those together.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
So look what we have here. 0.05x plus 0.4y equals, let's see, what does that multiply together? 12% of 0.12 times 12. That should give you 1.44. Go with me?
I got point, oh wait, just one. Well, for 12 times 0.12, I got 1.44, but for 0.05 plus 0.4, I got 0.45.
Wait, for the what times what? 0.40. I'm not
So
following.
for 12 times 0.12, I got 1.44. And then for 0.05 plus 0.4, I got 0.45.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So hold on. I see what you're doing. You're trying to add these together, right? Is that what you were trying? Okay. You can't add them together because one of them has an X and the other one has a Y. We can't put them together.
Okay.
Right? So that's what makes this problem very different than the last one. But look at what we have here. Look at this. All right. Look at this. This is an equation, right? It has X and Y in it. And I have another equation that has an X and Y in it, don't I? I have two equations with two variables. Does that look familiar to you? Do y'all remember doing anything like this?
You could set it up as a system of equations,
This
right?
is a system of equations, exactly. So remember how we did systems of equations? Two equations, two unknowns? That's exactly what I have here. I have a system of equations. The first one is X plus Y equals 12. And the other equation is 0.05X plus 0.4Y equals 1.44. Oh, shoot, I'm over on time. I'm sorry. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to let you do this on your own. I will send you an email later today with your homework assignment. But if I want you to try and finish this on your own, what you should do, I think, to make the problem easier is take this equation, multiply both sides by 100, which would move the decimals, each decimal over 2 places. If you do that, you get 5x plus 40y equals 144. Put that equation here instead, and then go try and solve the system. You should be able to solve for X and Y. I'm going to count that as a little bonus for you. If you can have that done, you'll turn that in at the final. All right. Just when you submit your work to me at the final, If you submit this problem worked out, I'll give you a little bonus at the end, but you have to remember to do it. Yeah, that's it. Check your email later for the homework assignment. Everyone have a good Thanksgiving. We're not meeting on Thursday, so I will see you all next week. Next week is our last week before finals. So 2 more classes, finals, we're done. Everyone have a great Thanksgiving. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too.